Hey, Bobby here, KM6IKH at the nex-gen electronics lab. Hey, I want to share something with you guys. Just have a radio in here right now, a hotspot, and gentleman he saw up and down that it had an issue. The ceramic antenna was not performing correctly. I believe it was I couldn't get more than 10-20 feet away from the unit. And it wasn't working properly. I tested it extensively, actually on and off for an entire week. Ceramic antenna, you're pushing it at 50 feet. So at 40-45 feet, I got a solid, really solid signal in on the High-Star dashboard. No problems at all. Everything much within specifications and expectations. But what the problem is, and I know what the problem is, it's not the unit, and if it was, I would tell you, but it's not the unit. It's right here. You see that little deal? That's an RF choke. That's a magnetic choke, and you run this through all your wires of anything and everything that you have in your shack, including your computers, your printers. Well, you probably don't have an oscilloscope. I do. I have a lot of tools, but any other machinery that plugs into electronics, including some lighting, I mean anything and every single thing you have, without any exception. If it plugs into the wall, you need to have one of these right here, RF chokes around it. You run the wire through, and then if you can, you run it back around again through. You do a loop through these, although you don't have to. I have everything choked off in my office here, so therefore my spurious noise is just about a zero footprint. And anybody and everybody that does ham radio by default should have these RF chokes on anything and everything, even the charger for your radios. If it plugs into the wall, you should have one of these at somewhere in the line of that cord. Most times they're next to the end point of where you actually plug it into the device. That's just where they're typically located. That's where what I do with mine. Even the devices I have here, I have a factory scanner cord and a factory printer cord, and they're about 6 inches from where you plug it in. So that's kind of how I do everything here. I have the RF choke about 6 inches before the area where it plugs into the actual device. Now, I don't buy my things on Amazon. I buy a lot on Amazon, but not for electronics. DigiKey right here. DigiKey is where you want to go to buy these things, because they actually, when you buy things from DigiKey, they have specification charts, which you don't get anywhere else. So you know what you're getting, and you know your specs. This one, it happens to be in the description: ferrite core, 100 ohm, hinged 5mm. You can get them different sizes. You may need a bigger one for a larger cord, but this covers most everything people are going to have in their home shack. You'll see there's measurements on here as well. If you look over to the left side, there's apps. So you don't get this on Amazon or eBay. You don't get anything usually on Amazon or eBay. You go to an electronic supplier, you'll get all these. You'll get the specifications for what you're buying. And over here on the right side, you'll see that's a whole whopping $1.27 for an electronics device that has all the specifications included with it. Looks like TDK makes this. Interesting. Okay, so that's it. And they have 15,255 available now. This particular one's a 445-2038 -ND. So these are RF chokes. You want to put an RF choke on every single thing in your ham shack. Put it on everything in your house just to be safe, because case in point is the issue that this individual, legitimate, thought it was a problem with the hotspot. It's not a problem with the hotspot. It's got spurious noise going on somewhere, and everybody has spurious noise, and sometimes the spurious noise can be external to your QTH as well. You may live near an airport. You may have spurious noise that you're not even aware of. going on in your area and someone's basically trampling all over your RF signal. These things happen a lot. Though I have no idea if that's an internal or external issue that this particular customer has, but you do everything you can to control your internal spurious noises, and I mean everything. You put these things on your toaster, you put these on your refrigerator. If you have an electric stove, you definitely put a big whopping giant one on the electric stove. A lot of people don't realize all of these devices, they put spurious noise out. They're FCC approved, hopefully, if you're buying them legally. And they're not supposed to do that, but guess what? They do. I mean, why do you think my little $100 scanner has a big, for a scanner, and it's only 5 volts, I got a big honking RF choke on there? There's a reason for that. And spurious noise is the reason. So RF choke everything in your QTH in your ham shack, regardless of how benign that you think it may be. You want to have at least one of these RF chokes on the cord, about 6 inches shy of where it goes into the device, because every time I buy something with a choke, that's where they're located. I haven't done a lot of research on the chokes other than knowing the importance and value of them. So make sure you RF choke everything in your house, and I mean every single thing. Buy yourself you end up going probably through 25 of them pretty quick, so buy at least 25 of these. As you can see, are in the right size. Cost you a grand total of $21, and believe it or not, if you were to buy 50, you probably use 30 or 40 of them before you know it, and it's $40. But this helps your noise suppression, your RF noise suppression, spurious noise. And I bet you dime to a dozen donuts, this particular customer, that's exactly what the issue is. Something you wouldn't think in a million years that it could possibly be, but something is obviously throwing spurious noise out into his environment, therefore causing some type of conflict with his hotspot. Okay, so this is Bobby here, KM6IKH, and this segment is about RF chokes. As a ham radio operator, you probably studied these in your tech exam. They go through these quite a bit about spurious noise. Well, here's a spurious noise suppression unit right here. Go on DigiKey, DIGIKEY. There's no hyphen in the URL. It's DIGIKEY.com. Don't buy any of your electronics on Amazon or eBay if you can avoid it. Buy them from an electronics manufacturer where you can get specifications. And if you need a larger choke for a larger cord or device, you can call these people and they will actually help you. They are experts in electronics. I use many different electronics manufacturers. I like DigiKey quite a bit. They're very responsive, very helpful, and again, these particular when you go to a electronics supplier, as you can see, here it is, TDK, clamp filters, ferrite core with case, you actually will get all of the specs. Sometimes it's not that many, sometimes it's more than you could even possibly imagine, even for the simplest of device. Here's, things that most people, if you're not an electronics guy, this stuff may be like Greek to you, but this is, for people like me that build electronics, this is where I get all my specifications. And all the specifications for something as benign and simple as even an RF choke are going to be accompanied with a product when you buy it from a legitimate supplier such as DigiKey. Okay, so that's it. And they've got charts on everything, the frequencies, the megahertz it covers, how it performs, the whole 9 yards. Again, you have any questions, call DigiKey and say, hey, I'm not an electronics expert, but I suspect I have some spurious noise. I want to put noise suppression on all of my devices in my house. You see, there's all different types here too. And ask them, and what would be the best route to take to basically noise suppress all of your electronics in your entire home, again, including the refrigerator and the toaster. These all put out RF, and they will be able to help you, and help you with probably a nice selection of RF chokes that will help you and will eliminate your RF noise. As a ham radio operator, you really should be very, very, very conscious of issues such as this. Kill that. As issues as this. And know that as a ham radio operator, RF chokes are a big part of getting clean signals in and out of your shack, be it RF to a repeater, or especially with much more sensitive devices such as a hotspot. Doesn't matter what hotspot you have, they all put out 10 milliwatts. They're all sensitive to RF. Okay, so again, I say this all the time. I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but these little things are the things that can drive you crazy, and you don't realize that it's something within your own environment causing a problem. In this case in point right here, I've got I have a nex-gen Commander 2 right here in front of me that's performing just as it should. No variances, no weeble, no wobble. It's doing perfect, but I'm in an environment where all of my electronics are RF choked. I'm getting 40-45 feet out of the ceramic antenna, which is about the extent of a ceramic antenna, and it's working just marvelously well, not even hiccuping. So Bobby, KM6IKH at the nex-gen labs, and I will bid you farewell, catch you down the log, and 73.